Now, this is a sonata form composition by Mozart. This is test 91. So let's have a listen to this divertimento first, and then we'll go through how to approach each question. You can annotate on the score. So that went to the fifth chord. Okay, I'm going to pause it there. I did a rookie mistake. Before you listen to the piece, you should just have a look at the question so you know what you're listening out for. But it's also worthwhile putting your own notes on the score. Perhaps any answers that you might have, you can already start jotting and annotating it on the score just so that it's easier for you to respond. Cool. So let's continue. We got up to the development. I did jot that it modulated to the fifth chord, but let's move on to the development. Okay, so this sounds like an inversion of this theme. And that sounds like this idea. There's a lot of conversation. And that's the recap. It's also in unison or octaves. This is on the flute, and then that's on oboe. That's pretty. That's back in the tonic key. Okay, so let's have a go at looking at the questions and working out what they're going for. We've had a first listening. You often get it about 5 times or so. Texture in bar 1s to 4. I think I heard it in the recap. I wasn't paying attention to that question at the start, but as we know, the recap is the same. It was in unison or octaves. There were instruments in the wind family, like the oboe, I think maybe like a clarinet or a bassoon. They were doubling in octaves. So that would be the texture. Winds doubling in octaves. And so there were more than one layer. You could say it has a kind of monophonic texture, but really it's 2 or 3 layers doubling in octaves. So there's still the same melody. Where a similar texture occurs again, I'll need to pay attention to that. We're listening for another bit where things are doubling in octaves. I wonder if we've got any clue. I think the ending, the code... No, it was the ending of the development. We'll need to listen out for that. Excuse me. Melodic line played by the bassoon. We'll need to listen to that because this is the oboe part. Let's have a listen. I'd say it's contrary motion. Just going to pause it there. Have a listen. Yeah, it's a contrary line. So it was kind of crawling up in contraries. Have a close listen. So it's actually in similar motion. Both lines going upwards, but the bottom line is kind of sliding up in contrary motions, whereas the top line is a longer melody. So describe it. It's ascending chromatically. Just give the bar numbers of the clarinet motif in 9 to 10, where it first occurs. This is a counter melody, so we did hear this idea played here in the clarinet. Have a listen. Here we go, 9. So the clarinet has this line. This is, whoa, it's going so quick. This was in a similar texture to the first bit. It was also doubled in octaves. More accurately, I'd say the bassoon has the lower octave and the upper winds. So the flute, oboe, clarinet have the higher octaves. So it was doubled in octaves. Answer to the first question then. When else does it happen? I would say bar 14 and 15. 14 and 15, yeah, that also occurs. Clarinet motif starts in bar 5. What device was heard in here? I think there's a bit of imitation happening, hey? Because we heard a different part play and then the oboe imitating. Okay, describe the texture of bars 16 to 25. Let's have a listen to the second subject. I'll just go back. This sounds like the coda. Okay, we're heading to the second subject. Okay, so it's quite clearly a melody with chords at the bottom. You can hear the bassoon and other lower winds just play kind of quaver chords on ones and fives, and so this would be a homophonic texture, which means a melody with accompaniment. So a main line and accompanying lines texture, and that would be the texture. All right, final question for the exposition. What comp device was used in the codetta to reinforce the key of the second subject? Let's have a listen. Okay. Okay, so what do we notice? We notice there are accidentals, which means it has modulated. I noted earlier that in figure 2, which is the second subject, it was already in the dominant key. But over here, often composers would put some sort of pedal point. So over here, we heard the bassoon play all on the same note. Have a close listen again. So the bassoon's just playing this kind of figure. All on F, which is the new key. We were in B flat major. Now it's modulated to the dominant, which is in the key of F. And so I'd say comp device that's used is a pedal point on the new key. And that reinforces the new key because that's now the new tonic or the new home key. Yeah, so pedal point played by bassoon in a new tonic, or rather you can call it dominant because it has modulated to the fifth there. Let's listen out for the development. Usually in the development a lot of things happen. They haven't given us the music. That's concerning, hey? So we'll have to use our ears. Okay, same as 1 and 2. These two bars are repeated. Then descends. Oh no, that's... This sounds like that. Okay, so I'm just making some quick notes. I noted that these 4 bars sound like bars 12 to 15, which is interesting. I noted that there was a repeated figure, but I think I got the wrong bar numbers. I think I was two bars later. Anyway, it opened just like that, but with a diminished descending idea. So instead of ba-da-da, it was ba-da-dum. So that's a variation. It's inverted. And then we had a 2-bar figure, which was repeated across these couple of bars. And then we heard 12 to 15 again. That's my kind of preliminary observation. Let's check out what the questions want. Which bars does it relate to? Okay, so as I said, let's have a listen to that again. Those 3. Okay, so the first 4 bars of the development sound like the first 4 bars here, but the first bit's inverted. The notes, I'll write it out just so that it's clear for you. The notes were something like this. And then A flat there. So it's modulated into like a C minor or something like that, with that a 7th there. Anyway, cool. So I would say that it is the first 2 bars, bar 1 and 2, inverted. That's how it differs from the original version. How are the tonalities of 29 to 32 and 33 to 38 related? Let's listen out to the keys. Just then I noted that this is in C minor. It's got that B natural, and then it ended up on a minor key, C minor. How's that linked to the home key? Well, that's a good question. We'll get to that later. Let's have a listen to it. We're trying to work out this and how that links. Do on E flat. And then once again, F pedal point here. It's exactly the same as that. Where are we? Exactly the same as that. All right, let's just pause it there. How are the tonalities related? I heard a C minor here, and I heard an E flat major here. And so they're relative, E flat majors are the relative major of C minor. And E flat major is the subdominant, or the 4th of B flat major. So there you go. So this key is called the subdominant relative minor, and that's called the subdominant key, or the relative minor of the 4th and the 4th chord of the home key. Cool. So how are they related? Relative minor or relative key. If you're talking between major and minor, you can just say relative key instead of saying relative major or minor. Last bit. Bars 40 to 44. We answered this earlier. So 40 to 44, we heard that it was exactly the same as 12 to 15. Maybe more exactly 11 to 15, because there's 5 bars there, and there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 bars here. So let's say 11 to 15. Let's listen to the recap. We're almost there. Home stretch. I'll just rewind a bit. It's exactly the same as the opening. Okay, clarinet here. Oh, that's cool. It's like a fugal entry here. and then tonic pedal at the end. So here are the things that I heard. I didn't know what bars they were in, but there was a bit where it went bum, bum, ba on the oboe, and then it was imitated in a different register by like the clarinet or something, and then in the bassoon. So it's a polyphonic section where there are several different melodies going at the same time in response to each other. Okay, let's see what we're looking for. What key does a second subject occur? We identified earlier that it was in the home key, in the tonic key. That's quite normal for a sonata form because everything comes home towards the end. Tonic key, and more specifically, it's in B flat major because that's the tonic key. Compare the melody of the second with the exposition. Apart from the keys used, describe one important difference. I'll need to listen to that again. Let's hear the second subject of the exposition first. I think it's to do with the accompaniment. I heard a kind of repeated a homophonic texture. That I thought that happened earlier as well. So let's have a listen. Let's check out this one first. This part's certainly different. Let's fast forward to the ending. The second subject of the recap. Let's go back a fraction. There it is. Whoops. Backtrack a bit more. Oh, this is up an octave. And then long held note. Okay, there's a couple of these rhythms, kind of rhythms here. I'll just jot that down. What differences are there? Let's have a look. Okay, so this second subject of the exposition plays exactly the same thing twice. I noticed that the second subject of the recap played up an octave on the second time. Let's have a listen to that again in case you didn't pick that out. So it starts kind of mid-register, and now this is up an octave, and then the long note, and so on. So I think that's what they're going for. Second iteration is up an octave. Second time we hear that idea. Second iteration is up an octave. In the coda. Okay, let's listen to the coda. There it is. Let's hear it again. Here it is. Okay, so that's the three note. So which bars does it link with? It links with the first three notes. So that's bar 1 and 2. How did the clarinet and bassoon parts relate to the oboe? It's an imitation. Let me find the correct word. I think imitation does explain that, because the oboe does ba da da, and then the clarinet plays in a slightly different figure, ba da da or ba da da. Don't remember what it was. It wasn't exactly the same, but it was an imitation. To which other bars of the exposition does this coda make reference? Let's have a listen to the coda again. Ba da 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 dum, ba da 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 dum. I'd say the codetta, because this figure and the last figure was similar. So I'd say bar 26 to 28 as well. All right, so I hope that worked solution. Sorry, apologies if sometimes the sheet wasn't quite on the screen, but that's kind of the working out that I got. Hopefully this is helpful for you to understand the process and I guess the thought process that goes behind answering a question like this. Stay safe.